Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into the PHNX Rising podcast. Appreciate everyone joining us here on a Saturday evening. Phoenix Rising losing 2-1 to Indy 11. One of those matches, right? You kind of see it on paper. Indy riding a very, very hot unbeaten streak, not just in the USL, but in all competitions, dating back to mid April, right? So they've been kind of crushing it. Phoenix Rising just kind of ran into a wall, but hey, a lot of it, man, and we kind of saw it. I'm seeing guys in the chat. It's a lot of those self-inflicted injuries. Just that's kind of what's happening, right? So Phoenix Rising, kind of tough, right? They score the opening goal off of a kind of janky clearance with the penalty, or excuse me, with the off the corner. Jose Andres Hernandez, smallest guy on the pitch, ends up tapping in. Boom, 1-0, feeling good. Give away a sloppy penalty, not moving the feet. Boom, converted. It's 1-1 back to Indy, and then just poor, man, poor execution from set pieces. We've seen it from this team before, and that's kind of how it crumbles. 2-1, another match where Phoenix Rising isn't able to muster up shots, and it's just kind of hurt them in the end. I mean, I see Goldman Pat in the chat. We also lose because we can't score more than one per match. It's kind of been a trend within this team as of recently, but just heads up, Owen will be joining us. He's just working on some technical mumbo jumbo, but we'll kind of get you guys through the highlights just to start us off. Again, kind of looking at the lineup that Rising brought out, right? Rocco back in goal. Decently starting back line, right? From our boy, Lawrence Wyke. The midfield, you kind of see the guys in there. Again, maybe not the most progressive in passing, but you have the kind of combination of Renzo Zambrano, Jose Andres Hernandez, JP Sears thrown in there. It's a guy who, hey, they can get a job done. It's maybe not going to be the most attacking minded, and that's kind of what you saw once again. Within what they're doing here. So it's kind of how it crumbled. You didn't have Remy Cabral in the starting lineup. You did end up coming on at halftime, of course. Didn't do much there, Joe, just because this is kind of how this match unfolded. Indy was going to be a stifling team defensively, and even though Rising had the goal go in early, they just really could not ride that momentum. Just kind of tough, right? I know there's a lot of frustration in the chat of even after this unbeaten run that Rising has had within the league, it snapped, right? Those matches dating back to mid-April, unbeaten in the league. It's no more. It's just kind of a tough way to see it go. Yes, it's against a very good Indy 11 team, but it's just how the cookie crumbles, right? Kind of seeing Fat Kid in the chat. Pat, as a keeper, how unbelievably pissed off would you be at your wall for the goal scored? Just the goal should not be parting in the middle. I mean, that's just the biggest thing. If you have the wall who is kind of breaking within the middle when you're having a free kick, it's just not something where they should be letting that type of goal in, right? If you go under the wall, okay, have a guy there, go over the wall, that's one thing, but they should not be parting in the middle. That's just exactly that's 101, man. That's textbook. That's absolutely fundamentals what you cannot let have happen. And then also saying Fat Kid, also, can we please stop with the idiotic idea of a player lying on the ground? I mean, that's just kind of going off it. I mean, right, I get it. That's just kind of standard with what you've seen throughout the day. And yeah, it's just kind of trying to get things going. We'll see. Just kind of trying to prevent the easy goals. And yet, of course, that's where Rising lets off the tough ones. And again, fact in the chat, we lose for simple reasons: penalty in the box and not following the basics of how to stand in a wall. They played like they were physically and mentally gassed. And that's exactly what we put in the thumbnail for today's show. This team looked gassed, even if it wasn't as much physically, which, I mean, yes, they did. Just mentally kind of looked fatigued, right? It was a lot of long trips. Even Seattle was on the West Coast. It's a long trip up there. The Open Cup matchup. They've been playing a lot of long kind of physical games against a lot of quality opposition lately. And I think you just kind of saw it to a boiling point. This team does not have a lot of depth. We've explored that in depth. We talked about it at depth, and you kind of just see this when the culmination of what they're doing. Okay. And yeah, it's just this team, I don't know, man. It's kind of tough. It's frustrating matches like this. You kind of had a lot of loss of words because it's just the same things keep on happening over and over. In theory, you give up one. I mean, honestly, neither of the goals from open play, right? The penalty, and then you have the free kick and poor there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to let this club off the hook by any means. But the fact that it wasn't open play goals, this is pretty much what the hallmark of this defense has been. They have been solid when they've needed to in most open play situations. but you just could not do it, from those set pieces, which those are just a killer, man. Like simple mistakes. Simple mistakes continue to undo this team, and they really had a chance. I mean, listen, we didn't think they necessarily were going to come in and win this match, but at least give them a fighting chance. And that's it. Yes, Mike Johnson in the chat. Absolutely. Middle school mistakes with this team. And then seeing Bendito's Bluebird in the chat. Club has expected Remy to replace Trejo and Arteaga. Remy's good, but that is crazy. They also failed to replace Harvey, the recruitment team. Yeah, it really is. You've seen some offensive sparks from this team, but that's just it. It's just sparks. It's not a continued continuity play. We have been saying all season that there's going to be a lot of matches like this where you maybe only get a goal, maybe two, and you just have to hope the defense comes through. True. Can you get wins like that? Sure. Can you get draws like that? You can. You can get points from that. But your margin for error is so damn small, and you saw it today and kind of how that comes into the fold. Let's take a look at the numbers, right? For this Rats again, Phoenix Rising 1, Indy 11 2. XG here again. When you kind of take a look at everything, you take out the 0.75 XG for Indy 11 off of that penalty. The XG stands about even, 0.64 total for Phoenix Rising, 1.18 XG for Indy 11. Possession 65 to 35 in favor of Phoenix Rising, but again, as we know, kind of empty possession, especially when they're chasing the game late in that second half. Shots and shots on goal were even for both teams, 9 shots apiece, 4 shots on goal apiece. And of course, those numbers were presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Yeah. Again, even the way you look at the eye test, or when you look at just, the stats, it was a scrappy game. There wasn't a lot of offensive chances. I mean, I don't even know if you could say Indy 11 was the better team. Like, I would say they were the more, I don't even know, man. Like, they put 2 in the back of the net and Rising put in 1. That's really all you can say. I don't think either team was particularly good. I think both teams look gassed, but that's the thing. These teams, when they're able to come in, even when you're gassed, the teams that have the depth, the teams that are able to get things done, they end up coming through. They're able to kind of squeak wins and results in places where they should have. Again, Indy 11, they were always going to stand a good chance, a good fight. Especially at home. I don't think they were a better team here, but I think that they ended up getting the job done. They did what they needed to do because, I mean, they just have more depth, man. Like, it's tough when you're playing, no disrespect, when you're playing Ryan Flood, up top, when you're playing guys who you're typically bringing them off the bench in an Erickson, Gallardo, when you're bringing in a JP Sears. I have no problem with these guys starting in spades here and there, but that's just not a starting 11. When you kind of look at top and you're missing Power Rito, you're missing guys like that. It's just a tough look, and you're kind of trying to regroup. So you're just kind of doing it one thing at a time. Well, let me actually, we're going to get Owen in here in just a second. Let me tell you guys about our friends at Circle K, right? Circle K, trying to crunch our first here. Guys, I'm out here in Joshua Tree, taking a little long weekend during the holiday weekend. And, I think, it's not going to help with that loss, but I did see a Circle K out here in Joshua Tree. They're even out here in California. So check out our friends at Circle K, right? They got that 69-cent Polar Pop for their Inner Circle members. Pretty nice deal, if you ask me. And but they also have that 79-cent Polar Pop, which is for all Circle K people when you show up to their pumps. Again, 79-cent Polar Pops. Boom. If you miss their field day, you're saving 40 cents off per gallon, the other day. And, came and went on Thursday. Boom. Again, if you were kind of looking at it when we were doing our show on Thursday, you had a chance to save 40 cents per gallon. But if you missed that, that's okay. Become an Inner Circle member. You can save 25 cents off per gallon. All you need is a phone number. Download the Circle K app. Enter in your phone number to become an Inner Circle member and save 25 cents off per gallon in your first 5 fill-ups. Save more after that. Get that discounted Polar Pop. Again, 69 cents per members, 79 cents for everyone else. Check out Circle K. Terms and conditions do apply at participating Circle K locations. Also, of course, shout out our friends at OG's Brands, repping the hat. There you go. Could have used an OG's Brands after this match. It's tough, man. Just one of those where, goodness, you're just hoping that this team is able to ride it out. They will definitely not able to do it. And, hey, but OG's Brands, they're actually going to help in that scenario, whether it's an indica, whether it's a sativa, whatever it is you are looking for. Check them out, right? Of course, check them out at ogsbrands.com. Find them on socials at ogsbrands. Again, they have a lot of things that you could be using. It's the holiday weekend, right? If you're 21 plus, enjoy them, enjoy responsibly, party a bit this weekend, have a good time, courtesy of OG's brands, again, sativas, indicas, everything like that. Have a good time. Check them out. Alrighty, I reckon, if I'm not mistaken, I think we might be ready for Mr. Owain Evans. Owain.
Max, have you learned how to silence your phone yet, mate?
No, I don't.
No. Yeah, it sounds about right, yeah.
To be fair, it wasn't my phone, it was my laptop. I heard that.
Oh, it's your laptop making
it was. Yeah. You know, it's still kind of challenged there, but no free ads.
You don't have to, have that ding out so loudly, especially during a show.
People figure it out. That's okay. Anyway, snarkiness aside, Owen, you watched a 2-1 game.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of saw the lineup and everything like that.
Yeah.
All that, the performance and everything. What do you make of that?
It was a game. I mean, look, again, it wasn't going to be the prettiest of games, no matter what the result and the outcome was. I think today, again, you have two teams that have played minutes in midweek on a surface that isn't the most forgiving of surfaces. Again, right? These artificial surfaces aren't great. Sure. But that's what you deal with when you're in USL. There are obviously depth issues in some ways with the team at the moment. It's kind of where they are. Look, I feel as though what we saw was a team that battled and huffed and puffed per se, but didn't always have a whole lot to show for it. The first half in particular was one of those halves where you have a lot of the ball and don't necessarily do anything of note with it. And then you get into the second half where maybe there were some better moves in there than you'd seen in the first half, but you still then deal with the issue, which is that you make a little mistake at the back, and all of a sudden they found themselves on the board once again. So not the most thrilling of matches, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this was kind of what I was saying when you were, as you were queuing in, waiting to join, is I don't think this was a particularly impressive match from either team. I mean, did Indy 11 deserve to win? Sure, they capitalized on mistakes where Rising didn't. I don't think either team was particularly effective or particularly anything flashy. But again, Indy, where they have that depth, where they have that ability to just get a result even on an off day, even when they're gassed. These are the types of things which separates these teams. And listen, it's early in the season and everything like that, but that's a result for them. And say what you want about this match. Say what you want about these two teams playing in the Open Cup midweek. They got it done. Rising didn't.
Yeah, no, they did. They did, right? And look, it's frustrating to an extent because it's two set pieces again. But yeah, I mean, you know what? Should we have a listen to what Rising coach Danny Stone's overall thoughts were on this match? It's a lengthy one, so let's have a listen.
Honestly, I feel we actually should have come away with at least a point there from the game, from how the game was overall. As a third game of the week for obviously both teams playing Wednesday, Saturday, I felt the game maybe lacked a little bit of energy in some parts, but it's a tough surface to play on for both teams, and so the game, I think we expected to be a little bit disjointed in the way the game was played at times. But I thought actually overall we managed the surface and we managed the game quite well from in terms of how we were able to play on it. Honestly, at half time we're disappointed to concede a penalty, but 1-1 at half time, I'm okay with that, and we spoke about that being a decent place to be at half time. Again, made obviously a couple of changes with players and a bit of an adjustment in terms of how we played a little bit in the second half, and if I'm honest with you, I actually felt we controlled, I can't remember quite what minute the goal was in, 68, 69, something like that. I felt actually we were in pretty full control of the game up to that point, and it's a bit of a shame then we can concede a goal, which is unfortunate. 2 set pieces away from home that's a difficult thing then to deal with against a team in a good run of form, and that second goal obviously then gave them something to protect, and they did that a lot, and they sat in, they were able to, and fair enough to them, played on the counter a little bit more. We weren't quite able to find our way through that very very deep block for the last 15-20 minutes of the game. So I'm obviously very disappointed because I've seen a lot of very, very good things this week from the players, and it's been another tough away trip, and I feel maybe we actually deserved a little bit more than we're going back to Phoenix with from these last couple of games.
Is that a fair shot by Danny Stone?
I think the problem you have, right, and this is, I see the one comment in there from Bandidos Bluebeard, who created too few chances to deserve a point from the game, pointless possession. I don't 100% disagree with that. Yep. The problem is that you're in that awkward point whereby you say, well, Rising didn't create a whole lot, but then really neither did Indy. Yep. This was just not a good game. Rising did have a lot of pointless possession. Unfortunately, what it comes down to is just, I think, a lack of ability to turn that into particularly good chances. We know it'll cost them sometimes, and it cost them today. You can't have 55% of possession in the first half and create 2 shots from it. Even if Jose Andres Hernandez manages to somehow score a header, like the smallest guy on the pitch.
Chalk that on your bingo card, man. Goodness.
I would say Hunter Salt in the goal is I mean, we had views on that guy in preseason, didn't we? Yep. And he's not proving it wrong. I'll put it.
No, he is not. Yeah, man. I mean, completely agree. Seeing him in the chat, we created too few chances to deserve a point from this game. Pointless possession. A second pacey striker would transform this team. Again, like this is what I was saying, again, when you were looking to join, like we've seen this from this team. They have a solid defense to where, in theory, and that's the thing, you don't play this game in theory at all. You could take some points if you are able to score a goal, knowing that, hey, you have a solid keeper and you have a solid back line. That's just it, though. Your margin for error decreases so much, not just if you can't even put a second goal in the back of the net, but even just the threat. Like, really, you look at this match, you look at a lot of these matches, even the Rising's won, you can maybe name good handful of matches lately where even if they're scoring multiple goals, that the threat kind of backs that up, thinking like, one of the more recent ones, maybe like a Rhode Island, something like that, like where they actually have, okay, cool, their attack was somewhat matching the output. But most of the time, the attack matches the output for not the best ways, where you're maybe scoring a goal or nothing, and it's just tough. Again, like, I don't think it's all doom and gloom for this team, because if you're able to get, and this is not to getting too far ahead of things, you can stack up some sorts of results if you are able to ride your back line and get something in the back of the net. It's not a long-term strategy if this is how you're going to do it. And that's, I think, the tough part for people.
Again, the difference is that last year, by the end of the year, Rising had become a team that was difficult to beat. So defensively, they were all right. The big thing about it is they had the sparks up top, and they had more than one who you could rely on to really create something. Now, I know that the expectation here when we talk about that midfield 3, and that's something that, again, it's a little bit more negative than we usually see from Rising. But the comment from Danny after the game on that is that we were looking to them to control the possession game, and they did do that. They were expecting this to be an uglier game. They weren't expecting this to be a particularly exciting, free-flowing, end-to-end kind of match. And so they were expecting that they wanted a little bit more in the sort of a dogfight type midfield almost. And in some ways that worked. But the problem is that you're still then left with a position whereby you've got Ryan Flood up top and for 45 minutes. And look, I did push a little bit on that and be like, okay, have we seen the end of the Ryan Flood experiment as a number 9 at this point? And a little bit of a Fence-City answer, as you kind of expected that question, to be fair. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see on it. It's been a long week. Just a long week in general.
It has. One way to help with that long week is with our friends at Four Peaks. Four Peaks can definitely help that long week just a little bit better, right? Drink a nice beer. Of course, you're 21 plus. Enjoy a nice cold Four Peaks wherever you are at. Of course, got the Bad Birdie, Juicy Golden Ale, the Kilt Lefter, the Wow Wheat, all of that good stuff. Check them out, of course, at their A Street Pub. And also, you can find their beers at all of their different locations where they sell beer, right? Using their little beer locator with at fortpeaks.com. Of course, check them out in person again at the Ray Street Pub, all throughout the Valley. Find them and follow them at Four Peaks Pub and at Four Peaks Brew on Instagram to keep up with the latest and greatest going on in Arizona's hometown brewery. And of course, you must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. Also, you can check out Four Peaks at our friends at Valley Taproom over on the east side. If you guys are in Gilbert or in Queen Creek, they have 2 locations there. Again, the east siders, the Gilbert and Queen Creek locations for Valley Taproom. They have the beers, which they do have Four Peaks, as I mentioned. They then also have the wine slushies, all these different great things they have going on, the karaoke, the trivia, all that fun stuff. Check out Valley Taproom on socials at Valley Taproom and on their website at valleytaproom.com to keep up with what they have going on.
I'll take there's a few things in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly run through those before we go into our second video. Gunman Pat was Flood mentioned once on the ball in the first half. Billy, remember having it from just having a quick nose. 11 touches in the first half for Ryan Flood. Okay, so 11 touches.
Not great.
Yeah, not incredible. The gully, the wall was amateur hours of Rocco's dog. So again, I'm going to point it out. Technically, it's dog, not dog. So it's the denial of an obvious goal, not obvious goal scoring opportunity.
Nice.
And the reason why I would imagine in this case it's been downgraded to a yellow is because you're in a position whereby you're going to look at it and say, okay, do you know for certain that A, it was going to go in, and B, a defender wouldn't have gotten to it beforehand?
Sure.
It's kind of the factors there for whether it's an obvious goal or not.
Yeah.
In this case, as you look at it, is it probably on target? Yes, but does anyone have an angle on it? I don't know.
Exactly.
The other thing to note there is I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that while he definitely took the momentum out of the ball by getting the arms out there as he did, which did help in terms of getting a defender back there to clear that one off. I also believe that he actually pushed it further away from the defender.
Sure.
So he did actually mean there was more ground to cover. Look, if he'd have walked through it, you'd have struggled to argue with that. But there's also a case to be made for it being a yellow. Either way, I mean, again, as I kind of tweeted earlier as well, it's one of those where the goal kind of feels almost like justice done because, let's be honest, the Rocco's intent there was to prevent that one from going in.
Yep.
And he comes away with a yellow with it instead. So, yeah, probably justice was done by that ball finding the back of the net in the end.
True. Yep. And that's on the defensive side of things. You said you had a video from Danny Stone talking about the offense.
Yes, we were speaking about the first half and the kind of 55% possession and 2 shots, which we brought that up in the last segment there. But I did ask Danny about what kind of factors he thought went into those first half struggles in terms of getting the ball on goal. Let's have a listen to that now.
Well, I think the game was one where we wanted to control the tempo of the ball, obviously not without attacking. I think we got into the final areas and then we were a little bit loose with the ball in that final area of the field. I mean, we got into some wide areas and, couldn't quite beat a fullback, couldn't quite generate a moment where we got in behind. So it was really just a bit of a frustrating final 25-30 yards of the field in possession. I don't think it was from a lack of having the ball and being able to advance forwards in the game. Just a little bit of final moments that we just weren't quite able to connect and put together.
Yeah. You can insert that for, fortunately, a couple other performances from this season. Gosh, there's a lot we can get into, and I'm sure we'll get into it next week a bit. We'll say this. Team scored a goal. We do have to name a player of the match, man of the match.
You don't have to. We didn't in midweek with you not here.
I know. I mean, listen, I'll give it. We'll name our man of the match.
Who you giving it to?
I'm giving it to Alejandro Fuenmayor. Okay, so here we go. Right. Guy who didn't score, but I think actually had a decently solid game, everything considered. 16 final third entries, 83 accurate passes, both leading the team, 12 duels leading the team, 4 to 5 tackles, 1 leading the team. I think just right, he kind of shut down Williams on that front line for Indy 11. Just guy who just continues to be a solid player. I mean, again, this is kind of, though, I'm not trying to say grasping at straws because I do think he had a nice match, but when that's your man of the match in a game where you score a goal, that's all I got, man.
I mean, we were debating, myself and Jake, on Wednesday who we were going to give it to, and we actually thought we'd probably give it to LA on Wednesday as well.
Sure.
We didn't give it to anybody, but we thought if we were going
it's
to,
understandable.
I think he was one. I mean, there were a lot of people who you were just kind of looking at and saying, like no one really came out blame free on Wednesday, and today just the game as a whole was sufficiently dull. I think overall that hey, we move on from this one.
Yeah, you ain't wrong. I do like the goalies chat. Man of the match is you, Owen, for 179 USL casts. We love that.
I finished the 24 now.
You did the circuit.
I'm over 40 in terms of total stadium.
Yeah, freaking you guy. This
league.
guy. How's it feel, man, to cap it off with Indy?
It would have been better if the game wasn't atrocious, but I mean,
yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. Oh, we're happy for you, buddy.
I'm feeling right now like Emi Quayshaw was on the pitch.
Oh,
game's done. Time to go.
All right. On that note, I couldn't agree with you more.
First guy off the pitch.
Yeah, unless you have anything further, which you don't. Appreciate you joining us. Appreciate everyone joining us here at the PHNX Rising post-game show. Of course, you can follow us at PHNX__Rising because double the underscore.
No.
Love it. Double the no. You can follow me on Twitter.
No. There was no double the no. It was just no.
Double the no and awkward silence. You can follow me on Twitter at Max David Simpson. You can follow Owen on Twitter. We're all so proud of him at OJ Evans 18. Give him he had a nice post. Give him some love. Go have a retweet. Go say some nice stuff about it.
Reminder as well that the Danny interview content will again, as it has been all of these recent games, the interview will be posted in full over on the PHNX Rising Twitter account.
I'm trying to shower him with adulation, yet the man is still business. That's what he does. Give him a follow. Go shout him out, even though I know you guys already do that, but go do it anyway. Of course, leave a 5-star review or whatever star review. Hopefully it's 5. Helps us out on Apple Podcasts with a nice review. We will read it on the midweek shows next week. And of course, follow producer Jacob Franklin. You can follow him within like the technology that sends text messages to my laptop. The ding, 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 ding. That was him, and I'm pretty sure he was pulling out his hair with everything going on because, that's bad audio. So sorry, Jacob Franklin. But yeah, appreciate you guys. It's a beautiful game, but it's way more beautiful when we go back home and we don't remember this game. Okay, good night, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.